Good morning, everyone. Yeah, very good morning. Shall we start the session? Yes, in the last class, we have studied about what are the various data analysis or how we can gather the data or what are the various feasibility study steps that is applicable for the data. Now, let's see what are the various data, how it is used, and what are the various capability that is using with the tables. Okay, so first target is what are the system objective, that is the system requirement specification and the analysis, what is the requirement determination, what are the various fact finding techniques. All right. So when we say about the requirement analysis, so that is what are the various requirement determination, that is one of the introduction part that is used in the cost benefit analysis. The next part is a requirement determination. What is a requirement? That is determined about the various requirement phases that is available over here. The next one is a fact finding techniques. What are the various fact finding techniques that is available over here? That includes the interview, that includes a questionnaire, that includes a record review, that includes the observations. Whatever the review, that is observation, or that is used with the observation review. Now, what is the structured analysis? Then data flow diagram, then data dictionary, decision trees, identifying the data requirements, decision table. What are the various data requirements that is available? What are the various techniques that is available for this one? Or what are the various ways by which we can access the data, by which we can use the data? Then pros and cons of each tool, then summary, then questions. Now let's see what are the various objectives that is available within this data, or how we can say that this objective, or we can say each tool has some pros and the cons that is available within the. Now let's see what is the analysis, or how analysis work in the requirement gathering. So analysis is the heart of the process. Heart means it is the main part of the process, and it is a key component that is available in the first life cycle or first usage or the first two phases of the cycle. And when you say about the analysis, the present system analyst collects a great deal of relatively unstructured data through the interviews, questionnaires, on-site observations. So these are the various systems that is used for the introduction, that is used for the various data, that is the heart of the process, and it is a key component. The key component means what are the various components that is available with the key data. So this is the key phase out of the data that is available within this, and that collects a great deal of relatively unstructured data through interviews, questionnaires, on-site visit, procedure manuals, and so on. And the traditional approach, that is a past approach that we have used, is to organize and convert the data through system flowchart, which supports future development of the system and also simplify the communication with the user. But when we say about the system flowchart, that also represents a physical rather than a logical system, and it makes it difficult to use or distinguish between the what happens and how it happens in the system. And there are few problems also that is available and that is occurs. The other problem with the traditional system that is used, so first is the system life cycle provides very little quality control to ensure accurate data, to ensure the accurate communication from the user to the analyst, whatever the accurate communication that is used, and they have no language in common. And when you say about the analyst, that is quickly overlapped with the business and the technical details of the system, and much of the time is spent on gathering the system, whatever the information that is gathered out. So much of this time is spent on that, and the details are needed and must be available within the information, but the analyst does not have the tools to structure and control the details. Whatever the details, whatever the structure that is available with this. And the present analytical tools have some limitations. What are the some limitations that occurs? So one is the English narrative description of a system that are often too vague and makes it difficult for the user to grasp how the parts fit together. Furthermore, English is also used or difficult to use where the precision is needed. And when you say about the system and the program flowchart that commit to a physical implementation of the system, that is, yes, that is used for the complete understanding of the logical requirements. What are the requirements? And the problems also relate to the system specifications. Now, what are the various problems? One is the system specification are difficult to maintain or modify. Then a simple change in the user's requirement necessitates changes in several parts of the document. And this also describe, or the system specification describes, the user requirements in terms of the physical hardware that will implement the system rather than what the user wants the system to do. Whatever the system that wants, or whatever the system that is required, that requirement of the system will be the implementation of the system rather than what the user wants the system to do. And they are the monolithic and the redundant. That means they are the unique as well as the, yes, they're not depend on each other. They are the primary key that is available to find out the information on a particular or about a particular part of the system. The user has to search the entire document, and furthermore, the same information is found in numerous locations with no cross-reference, with no cross-puzzles. And because of these drawbacks, the analyst needs something analogous to the architect's blueprint as a starting point, as we can say the main point for the system design. And it is a way to focus on the attentions rather than the physical implementation. One such tool, one such data that is available is the DFD, data flow diagram. And there are other tools as well, and the use of these tools in structured analysis includes the following. That includes what are the various parts. One is a DFD, that is a data flow diagram. One is a data dictionary, structured English, decision tree, and the decision table. So these are the few, we can say, the tools that is used in the structured analysis. So one is a DFD, one is a data dictionary, one is a structured English, one is a decision tree, one is a decision table. And system analysis is about understanding the situations, not solving the problems. And when we say about the problem solving method, so these are the problem solving method that is used for the effective analysis that emphasize investigation and questioning to learn how a system currently operates and to identify the requirements, how to use or how to modify a new and a modified system. And once all the analysis is done or everything is done, they are able to analyze it and assemble the recommendation for the system design. The manner is in which a system investigation is conducted will determine whether the appropriate requirement is gathered or not. And in turn, having the right information that is required, that also influences the quality of the application that is followed. In other words, whatever the good system design, whether developed through the STLC, prototyping, or the structured English, that is begins by documenting the current system. Providing the correct system, document the current system, and properly diagnoses the system requirement. Now, let's see what is the requirement determination. How we judge whatever the requirement that is available, whatever the requirement that is used over here. So that requirement determination involves studying the current business system to find out how it works and where improvement would be needed or where the improvement will be required. System studies or system uses edits that is used. So whatever the edit, whatever the result that is used in the evaluation of how the current system are working and whether adjustments are necessary or possible or not. And these studies consider both the manual and the computer-based system. That means we can use either in a manual way or in a computerized way. They are not merely the system or the computer studies. Now, yes, anyone can tell me what is a requirement? Yes, very good. What we need from the system? Or we can say what is the output that we predict from the system. So a requirement is a feature that must be included in a new system, and it may be included in a variety of the things in a way of capturing or processing the data, producing the information, controlling the information, controlling activities, supporting the business or supporting the management. And these determination of the requirement therefore entails or uses the studying the existing system, what is the existing system that is available, and how we can collect the details so that the requirements are used to process out. It's the responsibility of the system analyst that works with how the system works or how the managers or the employees works in the user department, such as the marketing, purchasing, manufacturing, accounting. Now, what are the various activities that is performed in the requirement determination? So what are the various, we can say, the tasks that is performed or that is used in requirement determination? First is the requirement Yes. First is the requirement gathering that we have done. Then requirement investigation. That means give up, we can say separate the various requirement into multiple parts, into multiple chunks. Using a variety of the tools and the skills, analysts study the current system and documents its feature for the further analysis. And this also relies on the fact-finding technique and also includes method for documenting and describing the system features. The next one is the requirement specification. So one is the requirement gathering, then requirement investigation, then specifications. Whatever the specification that is used that include the fact-finding techniques, fact-finding investigation that are analyzed to determine requirement specification, description of the features for a new system, and the activities that is undertaken that has three interrelated parts. First is analysis of the factual data. Then, yes, whatever the factual data, whatever the fact-finding technique that is available, so that is representing, that is used in the data flow, and the decision analysis, documentation that is used to determine how well the system is performing and whether it will meet the organization demands, organization goals or not. The next one is identification of the system essential requirement. What are the various essential requirement that is used? Then features that must be included in a new system ranging from operational detail to the performance criteria, performance details. The next one is a selection of the appropriate or the selection of the requirement fulfillment or a selection of the requirements fulfillment strategies. So there are various methods that will be used to achieve the stated requirement as selected, and there are other bases that also designed with the system design that is also used with the system design, which follows a requirement specification, whatever the specification that is used. Now, what are the various activities that is performed or that are very important to perform very easily? So analysts structure their investigation by seeking out the various answers to various questions. What are the various questions? These are the basic requirements we can say. This must be used, this must be established within the requirement gathering. First is, what is the basic business process? That means what is the basic business process means, what is the basic or why we are using this opportunity, what is the main aim of the business. Then what data are used or produced during that process, whatever the business process that we gathered, whatever the business process that we want, how to gather that information, what type of data we are required for that is produced during that system. Then what are the various limits that is imposed by the time and the volume of the work. So that means limit that is imposed by the time and the volume of work, limit that is used or that is imposed. Then what performance control are used? What are the various performance control that is required that is used with the basic requirements? Basic requirements is done, then understand the process. What is the process that is going on? For example, I'm talking about the system development that is used. So the system development will be used for answering or understanding the process. So analysts must raise the questions, whatever the question that is raised out, that when answered will provide a background of the fundamental details about the system and also describe it. Now, what are the various questions for understanding the process? What is the purpose of the business activity? What steps are performed? Where are they performed? Who performs them? How long does this take? So what are the various steps that is performed over here? Where they are performed or who performs them and how long it will take? And how often it is done, or we can say the duration, we can say how long it is done or how often, means in a frequent way, how much time it is required for the task to be done, and who uses the resulting information, whether it is used by the departments, whether it is used by the analysts, whether it is used by the managers. Now, what is the purpose of the inventory ordering? To ensure that adequate quantity of the stock and the material are on hand and available for the use without carrying out the data, without seeking out the data. That is excessive and very we can say the costly quantity. Now, what steps are required? So, it is used to verify the stock in the market, stock on the demand, or stock on hand that determine the future requirements and optimum times to place the order. Then determining the quantities to the order that is available. Now, where are they performed? That is performed in any of the department that is provided. That may be a department, that may be a manufacturing department, sales department, inventory department, any department. Now, who performs them? Purchasing managers that approves all the details. Then how long it will take? That depends on the requirement. It will take 1 day, few minutes, few hours, or we can say the few months. How often? This is a continuous process. Different items are placed being ordered. Now, who uses the resulting information? That is a product in charge that manage, or we can say that handles each and everything that manage these concepts, or that is used to manage these concepts. Now, investigation is done. Next part is identifying the data that is used with the information produced. So we have to produce, or we have to use what data are used to perform each activity for each task. For example, to reorder the inventory, the bar might require the data describing the quantity of the item in hand. What is the expected demand for the item, supplier name, and the item cost. Then determine the process timings and the volume. Yes, right. Then identify the controls that are well encountered, well controlled either by the management or the process monitoring that determines whether an activity has been performed properly or maybe no problem. But during the analysis stage, the analyst must examine the control methods. Are there specific performance standards? Who compares the performance against the standards? How are the mistakes scored? How are the errors being handled in the organizations? The next is user transaction requirements. So transaction level capture or system captures, process and store the data for a reason.